To complete the Food Web vocabulary activity, you will open the Google slide. From this point, your first slide, you are just reading and reviewing this vocabulary over the different consumer levels. Remember that a producer is also the same as an autotroph. Producers are any organisms that can make their own food. Remember, always think of plants. Plants go through photosynthesis. Your primary consumer is the organism that eats the plant. So primary means first, so it's the first level of consumer or person that has to eat its food. The secondary consumer is going to eat the primary consumer. Now, a primary consumer might be like a deer. A deer eats grass, so that's an herbivore. Your secondary consumer is going to be either a carnivore or an omnivore. Remember, carnivores eat animals, or an omnivore, like most of us, eat both plants and animals. Then you also have your tertiary and your quaternary consumers. These are your higher level consumers. After you've reviewed the vocabulary, your next slide is just a simple food chain and explanation of a food web, how the different energy levels apply. So if we always start with a producer, so your plant. After the producer is going to be the primary consumer. The primary consumer is going to be eaten by the secondary consumer. The secondary consumer will be eaten by the tertiary consumer. And then finally, the quaternary. Now, food webs can go even higher, but we're going to stop there. Your third slide shows a food web. You're going to use this food web to show how the energy is transferred. Now, if we look at a food web, look at those arrows. The arrows point to the stomach that the food is going into. So the frog is going into the snake, or the cricket is going into the frog or the shrew. For slide 4, you're going to drag the term that defines the level of each organism. For example, my tertiary consumer, I'm going to take this text box and I'm going to place it next to whichever organism I think it might be. And just so you know, that is not correct. You're going to do the same thing for slide 5. You will drag the term beneath the picture that it identifies. And then you get to slide 6. For slide 6, you're going to use the food web on the right to identify these organisms. Which one of those would be a producer, an herbivore, and a carnivore? And you'll just type the name into the box beside it. When you finish, make sure to hit the turn in button so I know that you're done, so I can go back and grade your slides. And if you want to review the vocabulary some more, there's a Quizlet that is linked in Google Classroom that goes over all of these feeding relationships and terms.